my sisters. As we were sitting down to eat, a guest started screaming. The groom's mother went into cardiac arrest. I called 911. Someone ran out and told me that they had better come back into the venue. I run inside and see my grandfather laying on the floor. I ended up riding with him to the hospital. I think he just fainted from the commotion, but we didn't know that at the time. Doctor looked at both of them as they were being wheeled in and remarked, "Must have been one hell of a party." Okay, not the level of catastrophe you're probably looking for, but here goes. 1. The wedding was supposed to be a small family gathering. The restrictions, no children, and only bring one guest, were the subject of bitter fights and, ultimately, us relenting on both points as the day drew nearer. The child who was the source of the most contentious of these screamed and cried through the vows. 2. The wedding was to be a beach wedding. Every day for weeks preceding the wedding, the weather at the time of the ceremony was perfect. 70 degrees and a slight breeze. With the ceremony minutes away, the wind kicked up to high enough speeds that the sand on the beach was whipping up so violently we couldn't walk across it, let alone have the ceremony as planned. We therefore had to move the ceremony into the suite we had reserved for the reception. My mom went into managerial mode and started getting things set up. But the room was still pretty much a mess at the time of the exchanging of the vows. 4. My wife's brother is addicted to pills, and in his opioid-induced haze, lost the rings. 5. During the ceremony, officiated by my sister, her bosom popped out of the dress my wife specifically requested she not wear. 6. The place we ordered food from just gave most of our food away. She took the receipt and the emails we had exchanged about the order. When she got there, they apologized and offered to remake the portion of the food they sold to walk-in customers. She accepted, and 2 hours later, she arrived to the reception with food, where everyone was pretty wasted from the absurdly strong drinks my father-in-law was making. The only food they could have eaten in the meantime had been seized upon by seagulls. So the most accessible bathroom was unavailable for a while. 8. This was September of 16, so, of course, a heated argument took place about the election. 9. The hotel oversold for that night, as is customary. I know. So my aunt who cannot walk did not have a bathroom in her room that was handicap accessible. She had expected a beach view, and instead, looked at a wall. Edit. Forgot to mention my dad forgot to bring pants. I've told this story before on Reddit, but here are the bulleted highlights. So equals significant other. The wedding itself went off quickly and relatively smoothly. It was a really quick ceremony. It was before and after that were the problems. I didn't know if lady friends would have games with sexual innuendo as I'd never been to a wedding shower before. So's brother brought an uninvited and unannounced girlfriend to the rehearsal and then demanded I include her in the wedding. I'd never met her before. They were from out of state, and he didn't tell us in advance that he was bringing a date. The girl stood outside and smoked the entire time. So's stepmother gave men in the wedding party money to take him out to a strip club and get a hooker. So's mother cried because we had not put together an intricate ceremony that she could participate in, though we told her in advance it was better to do nothing than to try and include everyone. Stepmother, bio mother, my mom, grandmothers. So's brother came to my hotel room the night before the wedding, drunk and crying because he and the new girlfriend got into a fight. He then told me I'd made a mistake and had chosen the wrong brother, lunged at me with his tongue out and started groping me. Next morning, I walk out into the common area where people are having breakfast. So's father is there and begins to insult my family because of how cheap everything looks. My dad was sick and unemployed at the time, but Phil knew that, which made it more hurtful. I reminded Phil of this and the fact that I'd paid for everything myself. Ceremony goes fine. So's stepmother insults several of my friends' looks as they are trying to eat. One of my bridesmaids is a woman with multiple disabilities. I worked for her and provided care for many years when I worked in social services. Groomsmen make fun of her, and they ask why all the retards at this wedding. My grandfather sees a tattoo of a dragon through the back of my dress. I wasn't remotely overweight. Maid of honor's mother breaks down and starts crying when she hears Nat King Cole playing. Apparently it was her and her recently deceased husband's favorite song, and she is absolutely bawling in the middle of the reception. Maid of honor and I have to take her outside and calm her down while someone changes the music. The best part is, we had legally gotten married at a courthouse 6 months before, told no one, and only had the wedding because of our ducking families. The father of the bride and his brother get drunk. Nothing out of the ordinary, and they're harmless drunks but can get a little mouthy. A fight breaks out and the cops come in. Of all the people they arrest, it's the dad and the uncle. As I said, they are harmless but mouthy, and the local cops didn't like being called mother duckers, so they beat the stuff out of them. The uncle was a cop from the neighboring city, and protocol is if a cop is arrested, the arrested guy's department has to come pick them up. This goes to court, and the judge's only statement is, there's a fight of 50 people and the only 2 you arrest is the father of the bride and his brother. Case dismissed. But that wasn't the end of it, because they still had to deal with the local PD beating up a cop and his brother. Sadly, the blue wall was in full effect, and the uncle cop wouldn't testify against the guys who beat him up. A friend's wedding. Worst one I've been to. 1. One of the bridesmaids said she would be part of the party and play the piano for the whole ceremony only if the bride refused to use the submit to husbands will bull stuff. During vows, bride agreed, and then an hour before the ceremony told the bridesmaid that she was going back on her promise. Have you ever heard wedding music played angrily on a piano? My mom used to do music at weddings. She said the worst one she ever did was when the bride was 8 months pregnant with twins. The groom's family hated her for not having an abortion, not giving the kids up for adoption, wearing white at the wedding, trapping him, etc. Real awful stuff. For a church wedding where you're supposed to stand, minister asks what's wrong. They tell him in the service and say they're protesting the wedding. Minister ends up yelling at them and says they'll stand or he'll kick them out of his church. Processional, vows, recessional. Just over a 3-minute ceremony. I had a 104-degree fever. It was 86 degrees at an outdoor wedding. I passed out mid-ceremony, stood up, then vomited in the grass. I sat down, was given Gatorade, then vomited again. We finished the ceremony in lawn chairs. Me without my jacket and with a wet towel around my neck. During reception, cousin threatened to kick my wife's cousin's ass because he asked my cousin not to smoke next to his baby. Went to honeymoon anyways, left honeymoon after 1 day and went to the hospital. Didn't die. Married 11 years, 3 kids, 4th on the way.